Right. I think we are live.
Score!
Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, everyone.
All right. So, where is my Zoom? Yes. All right. So as we wait for, I'm just checking on the stream. I think we're good. I'm gonna
Give
put
everybody
that
just a couple
over.
minutes to pop on in here. There we go. Now I can see the chats in the group.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay. We'll give everybody a few minutes to jump on because we did start
Mhm.
right on time today. Okay, and let's make sure. There we go. We got a couple people joining in. Then we see ya. As you're coming in, just let us know you're here. You can hear
Hello.
us. If audio's good, video's good, if everything's functioning the
Good.
way that it should, go ahead and let us know. Good morning, Linda.
Hi, Linda.
Awesome, awesome.
So,
Hope everybody had a wonderful Monday and gearing up for Tuesday. We got some really good stuff for you guys today. We're not going to wait.
you.
Yeah, we're not going to wait too long for everybody to jump on. We'll give maybe 2 more minutes because we got a ton of stuff, really good stuff to go through with you guys today.
Yeah,
And we want to try to stick to that 1 hour window as much as possible, which I'm pretty sure we're not going to today, but we're going to do our best.
We're gonna talk fast. Or as Gary says, we're going to decrease the font.
Yes, exactly.
That's that's kind of an inside joke, but
yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Hey, Anna. Hi, Samantha. Good afternoon from Illinois. Hello, Debbie. Hello, Pat. Good afternoon from Memphis. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, people coming on. All right, Ross. Let's have everybody as they come on, they all hear us. And
welcome, 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 everyone, to day 2 of your 5 days to your ultimate badass self and living life without compromise. And as people are joining in, just go ahead and let's do a virtual roll call by dropping your favorite emoji in the chat right now with the hashtag 888. And this will let us know that you have attended. And as we tally up the points for the prizes at the end of the challenge, so just go ahead and do that now as you're coming in. And while you're doing that, we're going to do, we're just going to talk a little bit of outline about today's training and kind of give you, we're going to kind of do a quick wins and shares, some ahas that you got from yesterday. Then maybe we're going to do a short little Q&A if anybody puts any questions in. I did put a spot on the group page. There was a post there that just came up about 30 minutes ago, a little more than 30 minutes ago, to put your questions there so we can kind of keep them concise and have the same place to go instead of spending all of our time doing that. So, and then also the main event today is part A of the formula and the FFV formula. So that gets broken down into 3 simple steps. And we've got a lot to cover, so let's get going. Remembering always that this is a safe place. Okay, this is a place where we're going to empower, we're going to support everyone. There are no stupid questions, there are no stupid answers. Everything leads to moving forward. So let's open up the floor to anybody who's got some wins or insights or aha moments. Go ahead and put those in the comments and tell us what's going on. What's going on?
yeah, we've got some people that reached out to us and told us, what they felt about day 1 and some things they got. But we'd like to share with the group. So if anyone here would like to just share,
so
just go ahead and put that in the chat.
What did you think about the 4 quadrants? did that kind of broaden your your viewpoint of things, or are you kind of going, huh? That's fine. There's not a problem because we get into everything much more detail over the next 4 days. So there's still lots more to come. So don't be frustrated. Just move forward. What
Hey,
was the most
Leanne, welcome.
what was
Let
the
me see,
most
Leanne.
valuable piece of information that you got from yesterday's lesson? And a few people have in their homework, which kudos to everyone that did your homework, have already been commenting on that. And then
If you haven't done it, there's still time.
still
There's
time.
still time.
There was some that came in last night, and there was a lot that came in just in the last 40 minutes, which is cool. We're so glad. And there was some people posted some pictures. So those were really nice. So we appreciate all that. And a lot of people are really just focused and have got a really good game plan up to now, which is awesome. And I think we're going to give you some of the final pieces that you've been looking for. Gary, you got any questions coming up?
Well, we have Samantha says, I'm feeling that, but I'm ready to release these energetic blocks. Awesome. That's good.
Oh, there you
So,
go.
and then feels like Mary says it feels like I'm always working within all four quadrants, but not on a deep level. Yeah, I mean the four quadrants, we're always working on them. We just don't know it. What we're going to do is bring it to a light and break down the ingredients of all of them so that you can have more control over them and more power over them. So that's exactly what we're doing here and what we've been doing in the live streams. Hence the reason you've noticed so many shifts, Mary, and we're going to share maybe some of that today too. So if that's okay.
As people are joining in, just go ahead and
yeah, and I'll just do just kind of, there's Mary's here, Linda's here, Tanya's here, Pat's here, Anna's here, Debbie's here, Alice is here from Finland. Wow, awesome.
Ooh, wow,
I know Leanne
great.
is over from the UK. Leanne we go back. She's actually, I call her Queen Lee. She was actually with me when I did the hypnosis centers when she was one of my office managers.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it goes back a long time. Okay, Anna says day one was great. Great foundation, expansion of ideas, real brainstorm. I'm ready to what I can learn about myself. Good. Debbie says I don't understand the quadrants enough yet to have an opinion. Yeah, it's new for a lot of people, and that's okay. And we will, open up more of that as we go on different trainings, and we'll add some more of that into our live streams as well. It's a big concept, and I did want to just kind of give a broad view of the entire, the universe, if you will, of the Infinity Matrix. And so you guys can start to see when we're giving content where they start to fit into those quadrants of what we're doing. And
it reminds me when I was first learning how to ski, and I had this instructor, and I was getting so frustrated. I just kept falling. I'm just like, oh, this is never going to work. And then, she looked at me and she says, Ross, she goes, all at once, everything is just going to click. And that's exactly how it happened. I am going down the hill and I'm struggling. And all of a sudden I just fell into my stride, and I'm like, I'm clicking as I'm going down this hill at 20 miles an hour. So,
and then he fell.
And then I fell. I lost my focus. You didn't have to bring that up. Thank you very much. But that's how it works. It's, we're going to go through a little frustration period, maybe, but that's what we're here for. But then as we compound all the information, you're going to see by day 5 that everything is just going to go click, 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 click.
Start to come together. Yeah, absolutely. The FFB formula will really kind of tie things up, and that's why we put it in that way for you. So if there's any other, and whether it's today during the call or after the call, or on the VIP, which we'll talk a little bit about today as well, how to get access to the VIP calls and register for those. We'll talk about that later in the call today.
Right.
Just we want you to think about what kind of reflections you're doing on your personal development journey and any struggles that may have come up with that. What are the things that you've bounced up against that have prevented you from your badass self showing up, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And um, that also means starting to refine, which we touched on yesterday, starting to refine, what your definition of your badass self is, right? And then just share that with us so that we can see the different perspectives of what kind of things there are out there that people are considering to be a badass self. Because we understand, and there's some marketing component to the way we did it, but we understand that it can have all kinds of connotations, some good, some not so good, but it's up to you, right? So we want to know what you consider your ultimate badass self to be.
And over the course of this training, that definition might change a little bit, and that's quite all right. It's your definition. And this is one of the things that if you've been with us for a while, you've heard us say many times that we are not here to tell you what to think. We're here to guide you into how to think. So when you're doing your homework, those are your answers. There's no right or wrong answers. It's yours. So in your definition of a badass is going to be different from everyone else's. We're giving you guidelines. And so if you have some ideas, some of you have already put your definition in on your homework. If you want to share that with the group in this thread, that'd be great. We'll read it out loud. That would be fantastic as well. I'm not seeing any other questions coming up. Do you, Gary?
That is it. If any other questions do come up, though, again, they've got they can drop it in the chat, and also we got the VIP tonight, right? So,
yeah.
Do you want to tell them a little bit about VIP now, or?
Well, let's wait just a little bit because the VIP is going to be basically a quasi one-on-one call where you can come with more complicated questions that we need more time to answer for you. It's going to be really cool. I mean, it's kind of like our down the rabbit hole on steroids. So there's lots of rabbit holes, and yes. That's kind of the direction that we're going to go with it. We're going to stay but we are going to not let it veer off like we do rabbit holes. But it's going to be very, very focused on the specific trainings that we're doing yesterday and today for. So
Louis says
it was just the introductory. We didn't really see it necessary to do a VIP.
So Louis says, what is TTFG? So great question. We haven't covered that yet today. We're going to get into that today. And we will be starting to work with the workbook today too, more specifically as we move forward. And the TFFG virus is something that's real, and we'll talk about that and go over that a little later as well, and share that with you. So that's the idea is that you came here because you wanted to step into my badass self has stable daily routines that nourish my mind, body, and soul, using my time wisely so I can better take care of myself. Awesome. And tune in and in turn help others transform their lives as well. Beautiful. Ooh, I feel chills. Ultimately living the life of my dreams. Awesome, Samantha. That's excellent. Yeah. Excellent. Thanks for sharing that. That's great.
I commented on that in your homework section, Samantha. So
beautiful. Beautiful.
Absolutely. A virtual applaud to you. It's very, very good.
Okay. So you want to be a badass, hey? All right. Well, let's explore what that experience could be like for you. We know that there are plenty of reasons people are attracted to the type of training that Ross and I deliver on a weekly basis. And some have a particular life issue that they want to overcome with the power of their mind or through a higher vibration of living, right? Some have found themselves lost and wondering, what their life purpose or passion is. Some are suffering through relationships that no longer serve their soul. and others are just searching and craving for a deeper connection with spirit or an understanding of nature of reality and what they can do to be more in control of what they experience. Some of you here maybe relate to some of those aspects or have your own specific reason. We believe that the beauty in what we bring to our audience is a perfect blend of down-to-earth, easy to understand, and quickly applicable information that truly makes a difference when applied. And bringing our own unique fusion of what we found to be the best of the best in the worlds of personal, spiritual, and peak performance technologies, and then backing it up with cutting-edge scientific data and research. So as we unpack all the psychoscientific babble, right, that's out there, it makes what we offer much more digestible for those who find themselves smack in the middle of our infinity matrix experience. And from this place, what they find in the unpacking is a field of possibilities or potential unlike what they found anywhere else. So no matter why you found yourself in this challenge, our objective is to help you to get to a place of complete wholeness in your connection with your true authentic self. And the acronym, we've talked about it over and over, but if you haven't heard it yet, the acronym, if you don't know, that we use for self is Spiritually Evolving Life Force. Okay? And to live from that place is the essence of showing up as your ultimate badass self. So I want to share a couple of quick testimonials and comments that we got from some of our members and even some of our students from the past. I'm going to just do a quick screen share. Where's my Zoom screen share? There. And then we'll go to that one there. All right, I'm going to start first, Ross, and then I'll hand over to you in a second. So this is a little challenging to read, so I had to kind of zoom it in, but it says, this is from Gloria. It says, hello, gentlemen. I first want to express my gratitude for what you two are doing. I don't always have the luxury to participate in your live stream, but I do make a point to see them. I love all of them. I would like to participate in the 7-Day Challenge if possible. I am an avid learner when it comes to energy, water, and mind, and the mind consciousness, the body, and metaphysics. It's something I study on a day-to-day basis. I practice this and apply it to myself and my clients. I know it works. I'm very open to things unknown, but as we know, people are becoming more aware. I love science, philosophy, physics, spirituality, and psychology. All is interconnected. Even my beloved found me through energy. He was part of the development of the movie The Secret, which is kind of cool. I believe that the world is changing, and I'm very excited about it and grateful to be a part of it. Well, my message is quite lengthy, but for a while I have been waiting or wanting to reach out to say thank you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then we got this from Amethyst Tree Bodhi Talk. I'm not sure the actual person's name, but thank you for sharing your personal story, Ross. I had a breakthrough while watching. I knew I had a block on money. My mom always said that they were happier when they didn't have money. Any money, block found. Thank you both so much. Great video. Let's go through another one here. All right, there. So Bernadette, I don't even know if Bernadette's on the stream here, but there's a couple that I want to say. So I'm so grateful for both you. I really feel connected and something really special. I don't even know you in person, but it's so wonderful. Best wishes. Now it's just tears in my eyes. I'm deeply grateful for you teaching this. You are really amazing. All this knowledge is so good to know. From Deb, this is from one of our students from the Art of Designing. Enjoy the space within the 7-day getaway place, the Infinity Matrix first opportunity to join Gary and Ross, explore coding, stories, and so much more. Where are you? This was something she had sent out to the group. Did you hack or slack today? Are you on track reaching you in you or your CCP, which we'll talk a little bit about? Are you curious about what you're missing or wish you could have joined? It's all good. We're all perfectly exploring within our own realities. And Gary Johnson, I not only enjoyed it, you guys helped me today more than you can imagine. Your stream start at 6 p.m. local time. So maybe Ross, if you can do some video.
Yeah, I've got one all queued up here for us. Give me just 1 second. Radio. Let's do this. Oh, there it is.
Nice.
Pop up.
Yep.
There we go. Let's get a couple things out of the way here. All right, this is Mary.
Hi, Gary. Hi, Ross. I just wanted to stop by and express my gratitude for the Thursday live streams and the micro hacks. You've helped to shed some light on places where there are darkness in my life. I am so deeply grateful for that. Y'all have literally saved my life. Love you.
I still get choked up when I hear this one.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
Okay, so give me just 1 second. And then there's Anna. Is Anna on today?
And both ladies, I believe, are on the stream today. So
You're famous.
Hi, I've been watching the Infinity Matrix hacks every Thursday for about a year now. And I must admit that my life has changed. I've shifted into higher vibrancy living. As an example, I can say that it helps me to decentralize my thinking and the way I've been making decisions from a role of victim or someone who relies on the universe for things to happen for me, rather than actually aligning with the patterns of the universe and making some actions. So I do now believe that we all energy, and things are not happening for us, but the whole life is happening through us. So the collaboration is much needed between myself and the universe. So again, it got my power back. Thank you for that.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. So
that is so good. We could do a whole training just off that one video.
Yeah, right. I know.
Like,
there's so many
this
things
is what
there.
happened. This is how we did it.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
And when you discover your own path to that badass self, then you get to begin the journey of proving to yourself first and foremost, but then to everyone you connect with, that there is no doubt in your capacity to instigate miracle level experiences. When your thoughts, your words, and your actions are respected by the Infinity Matrix and by the people in your life. Living your badass self will give you more and more consistent experiences where you can't deny that you are the cause of that reality you desire. You naturally show up with more compassion, more understanding, more flexibility in your interactions. And from that wholeness place, that we've always emphasized is the ability to truly know how you create that reality, what the ingredients are, and how you can shift, alter, or adjust them at your will in order to live life without compromise, instead of being stifled by fears and limitations. So because of this, we know that there is a shift that is happening. Because once you get to meet that self, there's no going back. There's a profoundly empowering sensation that stems from the core of who you are. And you know that it's you and always has been you. So that's what it means is what that means is that you'll always be waking up with more passion, more purpose, and more intention in the way you interact with reality itself. And when you connect with that power, you'll no longer allow outside forces to control what you think, what you choose to do, or whether you choose to, you can defy the odds and be exceptional in whatever area of your life you choose. So basically, we're saying, while on this challenge, and especially after it, prepare yourself for a future that sets new standards of amazing. It's truly the beginning of your quest to master the art of designing your reality. Okay, and you're probably here to some degree because you question whether or not it really is possible to create the reality you want. And maybe you just don't know where to begin. Well, we're going to show you in this very short time that yes, you can create the reality you want, and there is a systematic formula you can use to drastically increase your chances of having it. There's others are here because they've tried so many things and nothing's worked, creating failure after failure, or just something just hasn't resonated with them yet. Maybe you've been promised quick and permanent results in the past, and you've only been quickly and permanently disappointed in the longevity of the changes that you may have stumbled upon. And if that's you, you're in the right place. Because the only promise that we will give you is that we know that there's a badass in you. That's the only promise we give you. All right, and we will pull out all the tools, all the stops to help you step into it and create the future vision where you live it for good. And probably one of the reasons you may not have even known yourself yet is because some part of you is at a point in your life where you're exhausted and fed up with serving and taking care of everyone else and then placing yourself at the bottom of the priority list. But your badass self is screaming to be let out so you can live your life fully and totally uncompromised. The bottom line, it's your time. It's time for you to present your true authentic self and magnificent self to the world. We need it. We've needed you, and your entrance is long overdue. And it all begins with your ability to step into your own ultimate badass self with the FFV formula.
That's it. Beautiful, Gary. That's absolutely brilliant. So guess what? We're going to do it right now. So get ready. So we're going to have some fun. This is powerful, powerful stuff that you are stepping into your first lesson. Remember, yesterday it was just a kind of an overview, but now we're getting down and dirty. So grab a pen and paper. You're going to take some notes. You're going to pay attention, and you are going to interact. I cannot stress this enough. This whole demonstration today is all about stepping in and getting involved. If you've ever seen our live streams in the past, we have a formula, and the number one ingredient that everyone seems to miss is action. And we're going to put everything that we talked about into action. And that's where you're going to make the difference.
Hey, Ross, I'm going to screen share of the workbook while you get started there. So I know sometimes your screen gets all buggled up, so just be aware of it.
That's great. Thank you, sir. So you have 3 parts to the fundamentals, framework, and vision. Okay, you have embody the fundamentals, which is what we're doing today. And then you have establish the framework and then crystallize the vision. That's the funnest part. Okay, and today we're going to help you embody the fundamentals of a badass self. Not yesterday's self, your badass self. And we're going to get really serious. But let me just say a few additional words about this training and our intention to prepare individuals who wish to become practitioners of our process, the infinity process, and about why we want to do what we want to do and why it's in your best interest to give this some real consideration. Okay. We observe the human civilization from the eye of the storm, from a 10,000 foot up view. We view it in all of its full complexity, whether it be the forces of good and evil, of war and peace, of hate and love. We don't think we could do this with a heart and mind that's not open and fragile and willing to emphasize or empathize with all human beings, even those hidden in the darkest corners of the world. Our approach to training and life is simple. We are simply fascinated by the human condition and strive to better understand human nature, the best and the worst of it. We want to understand how power, money, and fame sometimes shapes people, and how similar struggles might decimate one person while raising others to new levels. All of this because we understand in order to build a better world, it will take more than just the 2 of us. It'll take all of us together. So we invite you to imagine how together, while understanding how beautiful, precious, and fragile this life is, that we all will benefit from its exploration and the implementation of thought expansion. We will distribute hope for the future, hope for our children, and hope for their children's children, creating the next epoch in human civilization's rise into an enlightenment society, which will be done through one spiritually evolving life force at a time.
And hey, we understand, we totally get that, that's a big vision for us. But we believe that we're at a place in a time where we're ready for it as a society. With all the stuff that's going on, we definitely need it, but that stuff is going on to bring to our awareness that we need it even more, for us to get more serious about that. And as we said yesterday, the day 4 will present an invitation to work more closely with us and take the journey through those quadrants, and to be able to master those, to bring them out to the world. Today, the stuff we have for you is pretty awesome. Now, I wanted to bring the cover up on the screen while Ross talked, to make sure, because when we initially sent out the links for this, it was the old version of the cover. I just want to make sure that everybody has this cover for the workbook that we're going to go through, and we'll start going through that today, and working through it specifically. So make sure that's the cover you have. If not, drop a message in the chat and we'll send the new link to you so that you get the proper one to download. All right. Okay. So, and we'll come back to that in a second. Today, I'm going to start off with asking for your permission to talk to your unconscious mind, to establish a set of to set up an environment for your badass transformation. Okay. And so go ahead and drop hashtag transform in the chat. Hashtag transform in the chat, so that I know that I've got your permission. Okay, and again, remember, this is an interactivity. The more you interact, the more you're telling your badass self that you're ready to step up and allow it to shine. Okay, and don't worry, I'll tell your conscious mind everything I'm going to do before I do it. There's nothing sneaky about what I'm going to do here at all. And excellent, good. Okay,
Good.
so
Lots of them. Everybody on board.
So here's how I'm going to talk to your unconscious. Okay. You see, the way to speak most directly to your unconscious is by using metaphors, anecdotes, and stories. So the story I'm going to be weaving through the next few days is designed to allow certain thoughts, certain ideas, certain concepts to open up and bubble up for your badass, for the badass you're choosing to step into for yourself. Okay, so if that sounds okay with you all, go ahead and give me a quick heck yeah in the chat. All right, if you're totally okay with me doing that through story format, and if at any time you have any questions about what's going on or why we're doing it, you can drop in the chat or meet us on the VIP and we can go into more detail of the different elements. Okay, so it's the story I'd like to start off with is one I heard many years ago that really altered things for me personally and got me thinking about what my badass self was and how that me would set my personal vision and the principles, the attitudes, and the actions I'd commit to in order to make it happen, regardless of the things in the world that try to tell me otherwise. And it's a perfect story here to set the tone for the rest of this training. One, because the message is within a story, as we talked about talking to your unconscious mind. Two, because it will engage your unconscious learning while entertaining your conscious. And three, it will act as the perfect glue to tie together all the elements of this challenge in a very elegant and emotional way. At different points, emotions are going to come up. I'm getting better at telling the story. But there was a time when, I couldn't go through it without tearing up. I'm getting better. So sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It just depends on where I'm at. But so be ready for that type of experience. So if you're, sit in front of your boss listening to this in your ear, you might want to kind of, hide or something. I'm sure
Tear up too. So that's what you tear up together.
Say it again. Yeah, put your boss on too. Yeah. So I'm sure you've heard about the importance of having a big goal or dream at some point in your life if you're on this type of journey, right? But what do you do when the so-called facts are against you? And I don't know about you guys, but in my life, there's been a lot of times when the sort of quote unquote facts have been against me. Okay. And so that's kind of why I think I relate with this story. And the story goes like this. The title is, If the Dream is Big Enough, the Facts Don't Count. I used to watch her from my kitchen window and laugh. She seemed so small as she muscled her way through the crowd of boys on the playground. The school was across the street from our home, and I would often stand at my window, hands buried in dishwater or cookie dough, watching the kids as they played during recess. It was like a sea of children, and yet to me, she stood out from them all. I remember the first day I saw her playing basketball. I watched in wonder as she ran circles around the other kids. She managed to shoot jump shots just over their heads and into the net. The boys always tried to stop her, but no one could. And every now and then you'd see her do what I'd call a power move. And it was like she got supercharged. And there she was. There were these other times when I'd notice her on that same blacktop, basketball in hand. She was there playing alone. She would practice dribbling and shooting over and over again, sometimes until dark. One day I pulled her aside and I asked her why she practiced so much. As she turned her head, her dark ponytail whipped quickly around. I can't do that, but and she looked directly in my eyes. Without a moment of hesitation, she said, "I want to go to college." My dad wasn't able to go to college, and he has talked to me about going to college for as long as I can remember. I figured the only way I can go to is if I get a scholarship. I love basketball, so I decided that if I were good enough, I would get a scholarship. Then came her signature power move I witnessed so many times from a distance. And she firmly stated, "I'm going to play college basketball. I want to be the best. My daddy told me if the dream is big enough, the facts don't count." Then she smiled and ran towards the court to recap the routine I'd seen over and over again. Well, I had to give it to her. She was determined. I watched her through those junior high years and into high school. And every week, she led her varsity team to victory. It was always a thrill to watch her play. One day in her senior year, I saw her sitting in the grass, head cradled in her arms. I walked across the street and sat down in the cool grass beside her. Quietly, I asked, "What was wrong?" "Oh, nothing," came a soft reply. "I'm just too short." The coach told her that at 5'5", she would probably never get to play for a top-ranked team, much less offered a scholarship. So she should just stop dreaming about college.
It's a good story. There's more. This is it's a common scenario. And it's a major trap for many people when they get inspired to do great things. And this is the basis for our first hack of this challenge. It's a super valuable learning point, because if you're not aware of the things that can suck the life out of your dreams, trample your aspirations, you may be heading into them unconsciously, and then you're just simply left dreamless and frustrated. You might as well go get the email, dreamlessandfrustrated@gmail.com. Send me your woes and wearies, because that's the reality you'll experience more often. So you see, the bigger the goal you set, the more out of the ordinary you choose to be, the greater the chances that you'll bump into what we call reality sentinels. If you remember the movie The Matrix, one of our favorites, the Sentinels were the terrifying killing machines that continuously patrolled the sewers and the caverns beneath the planet's surface. They are simply programmed to search and destroy those who might disrupt the established status quo. Well, we've recognized 4 different kinds of reality sentinels that do the same thing. Some that patrol the internal matrix, trying to destroy and undermine your dreams, while others patrol your external matrix, trying to put up roadblocks and sabotage your efforts. So referring back to the Matrix, you had the killing machines working under the surface, if you will. And while on the surface, there was Mr. Smith and all the agents programmed to keep the status quo. So here's my question. How many of you here have had a goal of any kind, big, small, or otherwise, and found that something or someone prevented you from going after it full on? Tell us in the comments. What held you back? What stopped you? What prevented your badass self from stepping up and saying, I'm going to do it regardless of the facts? Pop them in the,
Mhm.
come on.
So
let's
some have
go.
said I have for sure. Yes.
Okay.
Who else has had those experiences? I'm sure it's not just Ross and I and Mary.
Yeah. There we go.
Mary, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Money
Lack of
stopped her.
confidence,
Lack of
not
confidence,
believing in myself enough. Good. My self-doubt.
self-doubt.
All right.
Mhm.
Who gave you that self-doubt? It
Mhm.
doesn't just appear. Yes. Okay. We agree there, Samantha.
Yes. Especially from those closest to me. Yeah, sadly, that's true sometimes, for sure. Inferiority complex. Yeah, so you're badass in every one of these. Your badass self is certainly not showing up.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
okay.
Correct.
Good.
So when I look back, I'd experienced similar sentinels telling me that I can't do that. When in hindsight, they were actually saying they can't do that. Does that sound familiar? Does that hit a nerve? Well, every time a sentinel wins and prevents you from going for what you dream about, it weakens your ability to reclaim your badass self. Until that part of you just doesn't have the motivation and ends up with your head cradled in tears, just like the little girl in the story. Male or female, could be a little boy in the story. It's the same process. There are other programs out there that tell you that your only options are to keep your dream, hopes, vision to yourself because the fear of a sentinel destroying it. Or only finding other like-minded people who you hope will encourage and support them. And their reason is you can't always be sure when a saboteur will sideline you and set you back or even take you out.
Let me just interject here. So we've got a lot of really great responses here. And you think about if you're having those types of experiences when you have these goals and these dreams from people that are close to you, that people that you know and yourself, then why would you put yourself out there every time? Right? So each time your ability to step up in that badass self gets drastically chopped down.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Because they're going to go, oh, remember the last time? I told you that would fail, and it did. Now you want to do it again? Anybody heard that? Sounds familiar to me. Okay. So to us, that idea of holding everything in, it's a this or that limited mentality. Basically, in my opinion, exposing a flaw in their own programs. So we believe the more empowered way is to eliminate the assumed power that sentinels have over you. I'm going to say that again. I want you to write this down. We believe the more empowered way is to eliminate the assumed power that sentinels have over you. So that you can be authentically you as your ultimate badass self, who is unwavered by internal or external sentinels. So students of ours have understand that we prefer to go to the root cause after, rather than medicating the symptoms. You know, that's how we start the foundation work, because the foundation is the root. So, which leads us to our first step. Before we go over the steps of embracing the fundamentals, let's get a better understanding of what these sentinels are. So you can recognize their characteristics and understand why they exist. Pen and paper, get ready. There are 4 kinds of sentinels. The first kind of sentinels, these are people in your life who generally love and care for you. They really do. They feel as though they are looking out for your best interest. But they just don't understand the power of a dream and your capacity to design your reality. So from the goodness of their hearts, they may try to dissuade you or point out how things can't be possible. Concerned sentinels come from a form of internal and external sentinels. Internally, there may be old programming that you picked up from parents, family members, or peers growing up. And these messages still play in your mind as if they were real and had influence on your decisions. And ironically, these sentinels were programmed with those messages from the sentinels that they had in their lives externally. It's the people you are in contact with on a daily basis, whether it's in person at a family dinner or the water cooler at work or through your electronic devices on social media. If you happen to share your dream with a concerned sentinel, know that they love you. Thank them for their concern and reconnect with your badass self with more determination. I'm pausing so you can write all this down. Okay. Now, the second sentinel. These sentinels are interesting. These sentinels are people who actually don't want you to have it better than them. They know deep down that if you can achieve greatness, then that means they can't hold on to their excuses for mediocrity in their own lives. These people tend to feel that they are in competition with others for who can have the best of the best, or are hungry for the attention and spotlight to be on them and only them. And at an unconscious level, they've set up this is crazy. They've set up a competition that only they know about. And it can be about status or rewards, accolades, or what society has programmed them to believe is important or valuable. If you slip and share your dream with a jealous sentinel, learn from it. Make note of their characteristics and just don't do it again. Realize that their response or actions are stemming from their own fears and self-doubts that they were programmed with. And it actually has nothing to do with you or your dreams. Stay the course. Be your badass self anyways, and set the example for them to see what it's like to know what you want and to go for it confidently and congruently. Or they can choose to remain in their limitations of reality. Either way, you are authentically you.
Yes, and then there is the U Sentinel. Okay, what we call the U Sentinels. In everyday language, it's called self-sabotage. When you set a big vision for yourself, you may bump into these inner sentinels. They are sneaky, and if you're not aware or careful, they can unplug you from the dream without you even knowing it. It does require some inner reflection to tap into the inner truths that you hold about yourself and your potential. Many of them will be past conditionings and learnings that you've come to conclusions on your own, not necessarily stuff you taught, but you just kind of made stuff up on your own. But working in quadrant 1, you'll establish many automatic escape routes into success. In fact, you've already begun that by just taking this 5-day challenge, by attending our live streams and actively working on bettering yourself. This is the pathway to turning those dreams into reality. Make sure you understand that you don't need to deal with the you sentinel by yourself. In fact, it's recommended that you get help from others who are always going to pump you up instead of pull you down, to give you resources instead of hiding them or pointing you in the wrong directions. Okay. And then the last one, which was asked about at the beginning, I'm just putting in the chat here. The last one, last but not least, is the TFFG virus. Has anyone here ever heard of the TFFG virus?
I have.
Ross and I have. Maybe there's a couple that might have. And again, remember, if you're watching this on the replay, interact as if we're there. You're here with us, okay? And add to these, because we come back and we look at this stuff. Because I know, and the reason I say this, because I know some people on the replays will have heard about the TFFG virus. It's been around for as far back as documented history, at least. It's very contagious. You never see it coming. It can last for decades, and there are no medications to counter it, and it knows no borders. Never heard of it. Okay, good, yeah. And that's common. I haven't probably, okay, I probably have it, she says. You're funny, Samantha. So Samantha says, I haven't, but I probably haven't. Okay. I'll tell you about it, but first, I'll tell you a short little story, okay? See, some time ago, in fact, evidence shows it goes back between 4,700 and 4,200 BC. So for about 7,000 years now, humans figured that the earth contained a metal that was pretty malleable and could change form without fracturing. This metal was, and is still today, sought after by many. The thing is that you have to know where to find it, and you have to have the right tools to get it. But most importantly, you need to stay clear of the TFFG virus to get it. And the metal I'm talking about is gold. And if you don't know, there are many accounts of prospectors who hit the mines with big visions of the treasures they'd uncover. Many, and maybe even most of them, would spend significant time, energy, and resources digging the mine, but eventually would just give up if they didn't get the quantity they hoped for, or if they didn't find anything in the time frame they expected. And this is where they fell victim to the TFFG virus. You see, once they gave up, they just left all their equipment and went somewhere else, or even went back home to their normal lives to allow that virus to settle and do its thing. Then new prospects would show up at the same mine sites and decide to continue where others left off. And there are stories upon stories of digging for an additional 3 feet and then striking it rich. Because these prospectors didn't fall victim to what we call the 3 feet from gold, TFFG, the 3 feet from gold virus, getting so close to changing your reality and then giving up before it actually occurs. And this is where we left our girl in the story. She was at a turning point. You're right, Mary. Almost there is the thing, right?
Yeah.
And she was at the turning point to decide if or which sentinel was going to alter her reality. And after that coach shared his opinion, she felt a setback. She was heartbroken. And I felt my own throat tighten as I sensed her disappointment. I asked her if she had talked to her dad about it yet. She lifted her head from her hands and told me that her father said those coaches were wrong. They just did not understand the power of a dream. He told her that if she really wanted to play for a good college, if she truly wanted a scholarship, that nothing could stop her except one thing: her own attitude. And he reminded her again to do her power move and program the attitude of a winner. If the dream is big enough, the facts don't count.
All right, so let me jump in here and now introduce our first micro hack for this challenge so that we can fully integrate the skills you'll need to strengthen your commitment to your badass self. Everyone remember the definition? Badass is not defined with a negative connotation. Badass is a state of mind. It's a state of confidence. It's a state of, I know what I want and I will not compromise. I will always look for a win-win in spite of any sentinels in my life, currently or in the future. So I want you to go ahead and grab your workbook and go to the first page, Putting You First worksheets. There we go. It's called Putting You First Self-Worth. We're going to do a quick exercise to help you get clear and connect with why it's important to put you first in your reality. I realize society has taught you differently, but that's because those who said it to you probably were the ones benefiting from it the most. So let's begin with your connection to your own self-value. Okay, so on the worksheet, I want you to go ahead and write down what would happen to those around you. Thinking about all those who depend on you in some way, and write down what would it be like for them if you were not able to be there for them anymore. Or at least, at the very least, if you couldn't or didn't show up as your fully empowered, resourceful self. Write all that down. I'm going to give you a little bit of time. So go ahead, and if you are listening on the replay, please pause the video, do the exercise, and then come back. This is not a listen-only training. You've got to get into this, and you'll understand a little bit later on in the training.
Luis says they would all adapt. We agree, Luis, but how? How would it impact them? What would they have to do to adapt? Right? Because you were not there showing up as your resourceful self, or because you were not there at all anymore for them. Right? And this is really an exercise in you really starting to think about the value that you have to those around you, your community, your family, your friends, your coworkers, whatever it is.
So what I want you to do is, I want you to think about this and how you not being there would make life very different for them. And we're going to give you about 60 to 90 seconds. I'm going to run the timer. And your first thoughts are generally going to be the correct thoughts before filters and logic can kick in. So I'm going to give you a little time. I'm going to play some Jeopardy music for you.
And then I'll go through. So Debbie says they might be upset with me. I feel guilty. Yeah, well, again,
benefit.
It's exactly right. And so why do you need to feel the guilt part of it? So that would be my question, right? They would have to do all that I do or hire someone to do those things. Yeah.
Yeah. So who
They
does
would
that
have to
benefit?
do for themselves. Sorry, guys, not quite putting self first. I have to
Mhm.
start work. Okay, that's totally fine, Tanya. We get it. Come back and do it, and then there's definitely a timing for it all. Totally understand. They wouldn't let go easily, as they would have to work harder without me. They would not have blame for their situation. Yep, that's right. Excellent. Okay. Good. We're getting some good stuff here, Ross. So write all that stuff down, everyone, and really kind of, this is really kind of for you to reflect and impact. How would it impact those people? And, how would it impact your kids if you've got kids? How would it impact family members, sisters, brothers, mothers, the people that are close to you, the ones that at one point might have seemed like a sentinel. How would it impact you if you didn't show up, or if you weren't able to show up as yourself,
Mhm.
right? And what's the impact it would have on their life? What would that mean to them?
Okay, so now the next part, just imagine, imagine you're living your badass life, whatever that looks like for you. Write down how you would be there for those same people in a even greater capacity. Now, as your badass self, and what that would mean to you and them. Just imagine. Get crazy. Go ahead. I'm
So
going to give
this is
you
the
more time.
Yeah, and this is the opposite now, right? So this is you showing up as your badass self, fully and completely without compromise. How is
Mhm.
that going to impact them in a positive way? What's the impact that's going to have for you and those around you, and the circle of influence that you're involved in? That's what we want you to write in here. There we go, Ross.
Once again, if you are on replay, pause, do the information, start the video back up. Again, the first thoughts that come into your mind. The answers for this should be bubbling up from inside you. They should be just totally overwhelming. So cool. Make sure you're completing each of these steps and being as vulnerable to yourself as possible. Now, your notebooks are not handed in. No one else reads them. They'll go into your binder to be read a year from now to compare. Keep going. I can tell some of you are excited. There we go.
It's awesome.
Yep.
Okay, we got a lot of really good responses here. So be
All
able to love
right.
them more, to be more compassionate.
Very
They
good.
would feel that confidence and energy I had and feed off of it. Absolutely, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Would be more available for compassion. They keep scrolling on me. Be more honest instead of agreeing just to get along. Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Would do things for
Exactly.
others with love without resentment. Awesome, Louise. That's beautiful.
So
100%.
you see how everyone, all these answers are different because reality is different for each of us. We all have our own ideas, our own definitions, our own concepts. These are your dreams and your aspirations. This is how you want to be. It might be a little different than you are today. It might be a lot different. It might be a whole 180-degree different. It's totally up to you, whatever you want. Because not only do they benefit, but you benefit. It's a win-win. It's a this and that.
Nice. And Pat says, I would give myself more freely with love and no resentments. Oh man, think about how that feels. I mean, my heart just goes, oh my God.
Exactly.
Think about how that feels.
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah. All right, let's get to the next one then, Ross. Let's
All
keep
right,
an eye on
let's
time.
go. All right, so now go to the next page. And this is where we want you to record who have been the ones that have squashed your dreams, popped your fantasy bubbles, or have taken the wind out of your sails. The ones that you believe were more true than your ability to get what you wanted in your life. So their thoughts, their opinions overruled yours. You thought that they were right when it just didn't resonate with you. So write down some of your real life examples of the sentinels in your life. Remember, no one else but you is going to be reading this. But there is tremendous importance into this exercise. Tremendous. Again, first thoughts are generally going to be the best. These sentinels can be from the past or the present. These are the people who are holding you back in some way, even today. Even if that sentinel is no longer with us on this plane, even today, they are influencing your present life and your future life. They're there. I know they're there. See if you can categorize and remember them into one of the 4 sentinels that we've talked about. And this is just for your eyes. So be honest, brutally honest, and true as you can be to get the most out of this training. There's no right or wrong answers, only your truth.
So,
Alice is
so Mary
saying
says
already.
religious.
Oh, go ahead.
Mary says religious dogma. Good. Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, and sometimes even just a person. It can be a concept or a thing,
Exactly.
thought process or a belief system. And then, but where do you put that in these? Right? Mary says parents. Alice says, I'm already doing this. Sometimes I feel a bit guilty. So that's self, right? So that's the you sentinel there. I noticed that if I say no without any emotional expectations, it's no problem, amazingly. Yes, absolutely. We're going to show you some real good tools on how to do that. So this was
Exactly.
something I always had a pattern, probably. Yes. Anna says workplace, not just the boss, but the whole organization. Pat says ex-husband. Husband lives with fears and tries to keep me down, says Linda.
Yeah.
Leanne says family. Yeah, and so think about where they, and it's important for you to kind of make note of these sentinels and categorize them so you start to understand how they work, why they work, and not be triggered or guided by them, right? And so that's the first step, is to kind of mark them all down. And then we're going to give you a very specific step on how to then work with these and deal with them appropriately.
So think of who's the voice in your head. Who, when you hear, I can't do this, is it your voice or someone else's voice? Because it's attached to a personality somewhere. When did someone tell you you can't? Where did you live then? Where were you? why did you listen to them? What authority do they have?
Leanne says, can you have more than one for each category? Yes, we actually
yes.
want you to have a
Yes.
bunch in each category. Absolutely.
Okay, so now you should have those pretty much completed or enough to where you can actually go back into them later on after the this part of the training and refine them a little bit. But now doing it quick, you got the real raw stuff out, and then you can go back and add to it, not edit, not erase anybody. You know, that's going to hurt his feelings, or that's going to hurt her feelings, or that's going to, no, they're there. Okay, so you guys are doing absolutely awesome. Give me a thumbs up.
Awesome.
Give me a thumbs up in the comments. I just want to see thumbs. There's one. One thumb. There's more than one thumb out there. Give me a thumbs up. Come on. Shake it out.
All right, we're getting some thumbs. There we go. We are getting some.
So
Nice.
I know this brought up some things. I know it did. It brought up some emotions. That's the whole idea, is that you've been pushing those down. You've been told to push those down. You've been told not to say anything. You've been told this. So just shake this out. Shake out this feeling that you have. Okay, thumbs up. There's, oh, I got 5.
Yeah, we got a whole ton of them. Yeah.
That's
Nice.
fantastic. I love it. Okay, so one of the primary things that prevents people from putting themselves first in life is their lack of ability to say no to the things that don't serve them. Some of you have already mentioned that in the comments. And we're not being taught. We're not being taught that saying no is an important life skill, and it is so important. It is so important. It's something that most people are just not taught how to do. Purposely, we are conditioned to be uncomfortable with it. Think about that. You're told from a very young age that you shouldn't say no. You're going to hurt someone's feelings. You're going to hurt my feelings. You're going to hurt this person's feelings or that person's feelings. Woe is us. Woe is us. Well, what about me? Not woe is me. So sure, saying no for some people is easy in some areas, but then you find it difficult to do in other areas. But saying no is like a muscle. If you don't work it, it becomes weak and ineffective.
Yes. Or it becomes very customized to certain situations.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
And so to wrap up and install this hack, we're going to do an exercise.
I got
Or you
to
got something?
interrupt for just a second. Instead of getting the thumbs up, Alice gives me a muscle arm.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. So I think Samantha did
And
too.
so
Yeah, I
did
know.
Samantha. That's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to wrap up and install this hack, we're going to do an exercise to learn and practice saying no. First to easy things, and then to more difficult things. And then to the most difficult ones. Saying no doesn't have to make you into a mean, unlikable person, as long as you are saying no from a confident, congruent place without malicious intent. Okay, and that's the key. So saying no doesn't have to make you into a mean, unlikable person. It can, like Ross said, be uncomfortable if you haven't done it before and you start to do it all of a sudden, but it doesn't have to make you a mean, unlikable person if you're doing it from a confident, congruent place without malicious intent. Okay? And there are many polite ways to turn things and people down when it serves you to do it. So let's start putting your needs first and learn how to say no whenever appropriate for you. So on this final sheet for today, under putting you first, take those sentinels you labeled, and if you can think of any other situations that you regularly feel tempted or pressured by someone or something to do something that you keep telling yourself you don't want to do, add those to the sheet as well. I'll give you some examples on that. So it could be, maybe there's a particular behavior that you're doing that, you keep telling yourself you shouldn't do, but something makes you do it, whatever that is, or something prevents you from, since there's an action you want to take and something prevents you from doing that. What are those types of things that, and be specific with them. So it could be, getting to the gym, right? Is, maybe there's there's something that's preventing you from doing that. What is it? Right? Or maybe it's, for some people, saying no to a bag of chips, for example, can be a challenge, right? Or chocolate, or, or if, one of the things I have a challenge saying no to, even if it doesn't come in, because sometimes the timing of it isn't great, is if family asks me to do something and I have something else I need to do, I've got this internal thing. Okay, well, do I say no to that or do this thing? And then I've got to weigh which one is highest on priority for that particular time, right? And so I've got to look at what part of that is valuable at that time for me to say no to. Which one, and can I say no to? Can I say no to this thing, or do I say no congruently to the family and still? Louise says, "I love chips." Example. So, there's these some people it's shopping, some people it's drugs, some people it's whatever, things you feel you can't say no to, that they have control over you. Maybe it's an ex that keeps, hitting you up, giving you the bling on the phone, and you can't say whatever it is. All right. So these are things that are controlling you. You're not in control of them. That's what we want you to write in here. And that includes the sentinels that we put up here. All right. When you do that and you create your list, right? I'm gonna give you an example. So a sample list that we have here is chocolate, chips, Survivor TV show, internet, computer games, cleaning, sister, mother, father, grandmother, shopping, etc., etc. Okay, so just write that list of things that when you feel pressured or tempted by that thing or person to do something that you don't really want to do. Okay, and this can be an ongoing list. It doesn't have to be complete right now. This can be an ongoing list. And again, those of you that are on the replay, pause it, do the exercise, and come back as we move forward. Okay, then what you're going to do is you're going to take that list, and then next step is I want you to rate each one of them in difficulty. One being super easy, and 10 being, oh my gosh, that is like, I'll never get to that. Or the other way, you can rate it however you want. 1 being the hardest and 10 being the easiest. Whatever works for you. Doesn't matter to me. Okay. So if 1 is the hardest and 10 is the easiest in its ability to influence you, then 10 being very strong or very weak, whichever way you want to do it that works for you, right? You're going to label it and rate them in how much control they have over you. Okay, so for example, I have is, let's say chocolate is number 1 on the list. It's the hardest to do. Computer games is next, or mother, or sister, and then father, and then Survivor, TV show, chips, and shopping is at the end of the list, if you had 10. Okay, so then what you're going to do is, from that list that you just created, you're going to begin with the easiest things and start planning strategies to say no to them more often. And you'll gradually build up to saying no, when appropriate, to the most difficult things on your list. Trying to go right to the jugular of the hardest one that's a recipe for failure, right? It's just, you're going to end up convincing yourself that you don't have power. We don't want to do that. We want to convince that you have the power. So this is when you've reclaimed your primary badass superpower. That's when you can say no to anything on here and be empowered, because you're doing it out of choice, not out of obligation or guilt. Okay, so sample. Now that you've got the order, then the next thing you want to do is you want to start to lay out a strategy on how to say no to them. This example. So let's say shopping was number 10. So then what the exercise would be is for week 1 of you practicing your no muscle, right? Your exercise routine for that is to drive to the shopping mall daily, sit in the parking lot and just say no to shopping for 10 to 15 minutes and then drive home. Something simple, something easy, something builds the muscle so that you're not going in too hard and having the lactic acid of saying no kind of revert you back to old patterns. Right? Then the next week you escalate by then walking through the mall and saying no to stores. So just walking by the stores and saying nope, 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 and through the store and then done and then head home. Then you escalate the next week to, or when you feel comfortable that you can do that without any resistance, then you're ready to escalate. Then you escalate to going into the stores, trying things on, looking at products, and leaving, saying no to shopping.
Resisting sales. Yes.
Right? And so that's one way that you would escalate that process of how you would build that muscle to something that's simple. When you've got that dialed in, there's that muscle in you goes, I can do that. Now let's take on the next thing. And then the next thing is number 9 on your list. And then you say, okay, well, maybe it's the computer internet. And then you say, okay, so for 1 week, if at home you can't say no to the computer, you're always on it, or it's always in, you're whether it's your tablet or whatever, then for 1 week, plug out the modem for 2 hours per night. Make an agreement with those in your family that, hey, I'm working my muscle here. So for 2 hours, this thing ain't on. Find something else to do, right? Then escalate to plugging it out for 3 full days out of 7 so that it doesn't control you and you control it. And you can still function in your power without that thing controlling you. And then escalate to plugging it out for an entire weekend. So not just 3 out of 7, but 3 days in a row. Right? And then the one that they like chips. So let's say if it was chips. So for 1 week, leave a bag of chips on the kitchen table. And every time you notice it, verbally say no to the bag and walk on. Tell everybody else to leave the bag. It's there as your exercise. It's your exercise equipment for the week. Right? Then escalate to then open the bag on the table. And then say no to it every time you notice it. Right? And then escalate to taking a chip out, taking a look at it, observing it, and putting it back, saying no. To the point where it no longer has control over you. And you do that for each thing on your list. Work from the bottom up. Don't put any attention on the ones higher up until you're strong enough and confident in the lower ones. Right? So it will allow you to it every time you notice it. We've got some audio there.
Yeah, sorry, it's my fault. Sorry.
Yeah, every time you notice it. We've got some audio there.
Yeah, sorry. Go off.
We've got some audio there.
Sorry. Go off.
We've got some audio
Okay. My computer.
Ross, say no to your audio.
It won't do it.
Ross,
Hang on a
say
second.
no to your audio. How you All right. So and when you can do that, that's when you know you've reclaimed your badass superpower. Okay, so well done, everyone. The key element in the hack and the takeaways to understand if you're going to install a lasting and powerful program and altering reality, you need to put your body into the right energy and the right frequency that will allow you to radiate it from your core. Right? So let's see where we are now. All right. So go ahead and shake it off. All right. Let's drive it home. And remember from the story, the girl was able to find a way to say no to the Sentinels, and then the very next thing she did was reconnect with her badass self. And that's what we're going to do now. Again, Ross, I've got the echo
I
going
know,
on.
sorry about that.
And that's what we're going to do now.
Can't get it off.
Are we good?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So what she did, if you remember in the story, was she did this power move. And that's, again, the takeaway from that is that if we're going to install that powerful programming, we need to get our body into the right energy, the right frequency, if you will, that allows that program to radiate from your core. Right. So Ross is going to go through the 4 powerful badass principles real quick. Talked about some power moves, and then we'll wrap up for today. I know we've gone a good length of time over. Part of it is technical stuff. We apologize for that, and we appreciate you guys all sticking around for this, but this is a good key piece to kind of wrap this up for us.
This is very good. So I'm going to go over and share 4 powerful badass principles for becoming unstoppable. But for them to go deeper than just words that you repeat, we're going to kind of a power move of our own. And feel free to make up your own, but you're going to follow these basic principles, and we're going to keep it simple for the purpose of this training. So go ahead and shake out your body. Okay. Just get yourself relaxed. Okay. Let go. We got a little emotional there for a while, but let's shake it all out. Stand up, get some blood flowing if you want. Breathe oxygen in your body, and then stand with your feet firmly on the ground beneath you. So you are standing. Your feet are going to be about shoulder length apart. Now take your dominant hand, right or left. There's only 2 choices. Take your dominant hand and place it on your heart. And just feel that life energy from your heart pounding, the blood coursing through your body, bringing oxygen to every part of your being. Okay, now I want you to repeat after me. If I want to show up as my badass self, I must invest in myself and rehearse it regularly. We're going to do this again, but now we're going to do this with much more conviction. If I want to show up as my badass self, I must invest in myself and rehearse it regularly. One more time. If I want to show up as my badass self, I must invest in myself and rehearse it regularly. All right, so now next move is I want you to take your other hand. I want you to bring that on top of your first hand, as if to symbolize that you're taking this programming to heart. And again, repeat that with me with a ton of conviction. This is a declaration. This is not an affirmation. If I want to show up as my badass self, I must invest in myself and rehearse it regularly. If I want to show up as my badass self, I must invest in myself and rehearse it regularly. Okay, now reset yourself, shake it out, let your hands just dangle, get back into your stance. Dominant hand on your heart. And this time, I'll just repeat it. If I want to have a position with empowered choices, I must invest in myself and rehearse it regularly. And again, with more conviction, if I want to have a position of empowered choices, I must invest in myself and rehearse it regularly. Now, this third time, super conviction. If I want to have a position of empowered choices, I must invest in myself and rehearse it regularly. Okay, you feel that power building up? Now take your other hand on top of your dominant hand. If I want to have a position with empowered choices, I must invest in myself and rehearse it regularly. All right, we got some momentum going here. So shake it out again. Feel that energy building up inside you. That's you. That's not me. That energy is you. It's always been there. Let it build. Remember, the more you play full out, the more you'll get out of these, hacks that we're doing. So let's do it faster and with more energy. Get into your stance, hand on your heart, and repeat. If I want to develop escape routes from past failures and step into future successes, I must invest in myself and rehearse it regularly. Again, if I want to develop escape routes from past failures and step into future successes, I must invest in myself regularly. Now, take your other hand on top of your dominant hand. If I want to develop escape routes from past failures and step into future successes, I must invest in myself and rehearse it regularly. All right, one more time in your stance, hand on the heart. If I want to protect myself from sentinels, I must build up my no muscles and use them wisely. If I want to protect myself from sentinels, I must build up my no muscles and use them wisely. Other hand on there. If I want to protect myself from sentinels, I must build up my no muscles and use them wisely. Boom! That's it. Good job, everyone. So what we're going to ask you to do is come up with your own power move and add these 4 badass principles as your morning routine. We suggest first thing in the morning before you kind of get doing anything else. If you need to hide in the bathroom or the closet where no one sees you, if so, that's okay, but if you just want to show up as your badass self and not care what anyone thinks, because you are doing this for you, not for them. Although it will benefit them too, and hopefully rub off a little bit. So then proudly and boldly do your power move and lock in these principles. They should only take you about 2 or 3 minutes max. And hell, do it in the shower, wherever you need to do it, but just do it on a regular basis, every single day, first thing in the morning.
All right, there you have it. You did it. Your first 2 full hacks today. Now you are now embodying the fundamentals, the first step in the ultimate badass self. So let's quickly review our FFV formula. First, F is for embodying the fundamentals. Then we establish the framework. Then we crystallize the vision. Can you see how this is all coming together now? Do you agree that we've established some solid fundamentals and have taken care of that for you today? Go ahead and give me a hashtag FFV in the chat if you agree. That's hashtag FFV so that I know that we've done that for you today and we've taken care of that piece of the formula to give you some solid and establish some fundamentals for you for that badass self. Hashtag FFV. And again, it also includes the excellent. Good. It also includes if you're watching the replay. So we decided to add an additional VIP call for those who would like to go dive deeper into today's topic a little bit more, or just get some of your questions answered. And to make it worth your while, we're also going to show you a way to accelerate your ability to strengthen your no muscle. Okay. The VIP, so that'll be in that. The VIP call will be a Zoom call and not be available in the group. we're working on a way to have replays for them, but we haven't got that set up yet. It'll be somewhere on the website, and we'll let you know when that's available. But to get the Zoom link, you do need to register for the VIP. I'm going to drop it in the chat here. So that's the VIP. It's hackingtheinfinitymatrix.com/badass VIP. Okay, that's hackingtheinfinitymatrix.com/badass VIP, all in lowercase. And just register there for the Zoom. That will be at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And that's for today, tomorrow, actually right through till Friday. Fridays, I might have to be a little tricky how I'm going to be in there, but definitely Ross will be there to start off anyways. But so yeah, so that'll be for all 4 days, and it'll be to go deeper into some questions, get some interaction from you, as well as adding some additional things in there for you. So before we talk about tomorrow and the homework, in order to stay in this group or on this challenge, we did tell you participation is a requirement. You guys are doing amazing. If you want a chance for the prizes, that's how you do it. You also have to commit, because otherwise there's no reason for you to move to the next step in the process if you are not committed to our lesson each day, right? So remember the pattern, right? If you have to invest, you have to invest in yourself and rehearse it regularly. So here's the 2 commitments for today. Number 1, and this one, I want you to, I'm going to put in the chat, okay? First one is I want you to commit to us and post it yourself from your own self instead of just me posting it or you saying it verbally. I want you to commit. I commit to be on alert for sentinels in my life and determine if they serve me or not. Make that commitment to us and to everybody else in this group. So just copy and paste it is fine, but that's the first commitment I want you to make. Okay. Second commitment is I commit to embodying the fundamentals with the 4 power principles by doing my morning routine every day. Okay. So by doing your morning routine every day is important because that's going to establish those fundamentals and lock them in. So first commitment is to be on alert for sentinels in your life and determine if they serve you or not. Second commitment is to commit to embodying the fundamentals with the 4 principles, power principles, by doing your morning routine every day, your power move, whatever that is. Okay? Tomorrow, we're going to go through part 2 of FFV. We're going to establish the framework. You'll learn how and why and how to integrate into your neurology, your physiology, and your psychology the 8 attitudes of a badass creator using little-known technology that is designed to fully activate your brain, your body resources. All right?
All right. So let's go into today's. We're going to start calling this home growth instead of homework, because yesterday was homework, but now you're growing. Now everything you do is going to cause expansion for you. So the first thing you're going to do is continue to create your list of active sentinels. All those ones that are in your life, you're going to take that list and you're just going to expand upon it. Okay. Exercise your no muscle and comment on today's thread which category of sentinels you were able to stop in their tracks. And if you don't have the opportunity to interact with someone, then put down who is your primary and what you want to see transpire. So write it and rehearse it in detail. Okay. Again, that you can put in your notebook. If you want to share it with us, that's awesome. But definitely get that in your notebook. Number 2, post your power move in the comments, or better yet, post us a video. Are you going to do the same power move that we showed you? Or are you going to kind of create your own? Make it yours. Make it yours. Okay. And as we said, you can do it anywhere. You know, if you got to do it in the closet, that's fine. Just turn on the light so we can see you. And post that on today's thread. And then we're going to put up another homework screen or graphic. So you're going to post all of this underneath that graphic in that thread. So show us that new power move as it becomes your daily morning habit. And then there's also bonus points attached if you do upload the video. So we are monitoring all of this. So that's going to be really cool. Above else, more than important than anything else, give yourself permission to let go of the sentinel's control over you. Politely say, no, thank you, I'm good. As a matter of fact, I'm great, and I appreciate your concern for me. We want you to present yourself with strength and grace. Remember, the definition of a badass is based on personal power, confidence, and a spiritually evolving life force. Remember, you are the light that the world needs. So we'll see you later on tonight on the VIP call if you'd like. We'd love it. 6 p.m. Pacific time. You can get into some more detail of questions that you have about today or yesterday. And then we'll go.
And those that can't make it because of time schedule, again, we will do our best to get a replay format of that, but it's not going to be streamed in the group. It's going to be just live on Zoom, and then we'll have a recording of it somewhere available. We'll get that probably by tomorrow to let you know where you can access that.
There we go.
All right.
Thank
so
you,
go ahead and
everyone.
register. The link is in there in the chat, and we'll see you guys on the Zoom.
We appreciate
Have a great day.
your
We'll see you
time.
guys later. Thanks for sticking around.
Bye-bye.